Picture this. The lights go down, the stage is set, and thousands of fans wait for a once-in-a-lifetime double bill. Two legendary rock bands, one unforgettable night. But behind the scenes, it doesn't always go that way. In fact, some of the most epic pairings in rock history never happened, not because of schedules, but because of clashing egos, business decisions, and fear of being upstaged. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Journey, the band that gave the world timeless anthems like Don't Stop Believin', and the 6 major bands they refused to tour with. Each story reveals how much strategy, rivalry, and pride go into life on the road. Number 1. The Kiss. In the late 70s, Kiss was at the height of their fame. Their concerts were a spectacle. Flames, explosions, blood-spitting theatrics. Journey, meanwhile, was transitioning from a jam-heavy prog band to a polished arena powerhouse with Steve Perry's voice leading the way. When talks of a co-tour came up, Journey's management shut it down. The reason? They didn't want to be lumped into the same shock rock category. Journey wanted to be known for musicianship and soaring ballads, not fire-breathing gimmicks. There was also concern about audiences. Kiss fans expected chaos, while Journey's growing fanbase wanted melody and romance. The mismatch risked turning concerts into cultural clashes. In short, Journey feared the tour would dilute their image. So, instead of joining forces, they carved their own lane. And history shows, it worked. Number 2. Van Halen. By the early 80s, Van Halen was redefining what a rock show could be. Eddie Van Halen was a guitar god, and David Lee Roth turned every stage into a circus. Journey, on the other hand, focused on precision, tight harmonies, polished production, and emotional ballads that made fans cry as much as they rocked. Behind the scenes, managers whispered the same fear. Neil Schon and Eddie Van Halen were two alike. Both were shredders, both loved the spotlight, and both were charismatic. On a joint tour, every night would feel like a battle of guitar solos. Journey didn't want to get sucked into that competition. They had just scored massive success with Escape and didn't want to risk being overshadowed by Van Halen's wilder, louder stage antics. For Journey, the refusal was less about animosity and more about protecting their carefully crafted brand. Number 3. Bon Jovi. Fast forward to the late 80s. Bon Jovi was riding a tidal wave of global success with Slippery When Wet in New Jersey. Their youthful swagger, hairspray, and MTV-friendly style made them stadium darlings. Pairing them with Journey, already established legends, seemed perfect. But Journey said no. Why? Because Bon Jovi represented the next generation. Touring together would risk making Journey look like the older band hanging on, while Bon Jovi stole the spotlight with their youth and charisma. There was also tension in their musical overlap. Both bands specialized in arena-ready anthems, sing-along choruses, and power ballads. Journey's team worried that fans might compare them too directly, and crown Bon Jovi the winner. So instead of risking their reputation, Journey chose to skip the collaboration entirely. Number 4. Aerosmith. In the 90s, both Journey and Aerosmith were at crossroads. Aerosmith had reinvented themselves with MTV hits like Crazy and Cryin', becoming darlings of the music video era. Journey, meanwhile, was struggling with lineup changes and the uncertain future of Steve Perry. When the idea of a co-headlining tour came up, fans were ecstatic. But inside the boardrooms, egos collided. Who would close each night? Aerosmith, with their MTV comeback, claimed the top slot. Journey, unwilling to look like a secondary act, refused to play second fiddle. The deadlock turned bitter. Journey's camp felt Aerosmith looked down on them, while Aerosmith argued they were the hotter act at the time. And so, what could have been a blockbuster tour evaporated. Instead, both bands went their separate ways, each fighting to secure their place in rock's shifting landscape. Number 5. Def Leppard. By the early 2000s, nostalgia tours were big business. Journey and Def Leppard, two of the most beloved melodic rock bands, looked like a dream package. Both had huge crossover fanbases, both filled arenas, and both had catalogs of hits that defined the 80s. But there was a catch. Def Leppard had weathered tragedy, including drummer Rick Allen losing his arm, and come back stronger, cementing themselves as survivors. Their story gave them a heroic edge. Journey, meanwhile, had cycled through singers after Steve Perry's departure, and they were still proving their legitimacy with newer frontmen. Journey worried that fans might see Def Leppard as the more authentic band and themselves as the one still searching for identity. That perception risked damaging their legacy. Rather than risk being cast in Def Leppard's shadow, Journey declined. It was a painful decision, one that left fans wondering what could have been. Number 6. The Rolling Stones.
Watch the children play.
Here's the biggest what if of them all. In the early 80s, Journey was invited to open for the Rolling Stones. For almost any band, this would be the dream gig of a lifetime. But Journey said no. Why? Pride. By that point, Journey was already selling out arenas. They didn't want to be viewed as students under the Stones. They wanted to stand as equals. Journey's management argued that playing as an opener might make them look smaller, like they weren't in the same league. But there was another layer. The Stones crowd was older, grittier, and more blues-oriented. Journey's fanbase skewed younger, hungrier, and more drawn to emotional ballads. Mixing the two might not have worked in practice. Still, turning down the Stones was a bold statement. It was Journey declaring, "We don't need to borrow anyone else's spotlight, we can make our own." And there you have it. 6 stories of how Journey refused to tour with some of the biggest names in rock. From Kiss's over-the-top pyrotechnics to the Stones' legendary swagger, each decision was about more than just logistics. It was about pride, image, and control. Because in rock and roll, the battles aren't always fought on stage. They're fought in negotiations, in egos, and in the quiet decisions that shape a band's legacy. And Journey's legacy, it's one of independence. They chose their own road, even if it meant passing on dream tours. Thanks for watching, and if you love these untold sagas from rock's golden era, stick around here at Backstage Tales, where the music never stops, and neither do the stories. God bless.
They can't say we never tried.